So let's start at the beginning. So what is DEI? Well, it's a term used to describe programs and policies that encourage representation and participation of diverse groups of people. Sometimes it's called EDI, or sometimes it's just referred to as D&I. But largely it's seen as the efforts that organizations make to improve representation and create more welcoming workplaces, which is extremely important. However, what DEI efforts are today and what they're supposed to be are often quite out of alignment. Now, DEI or EDI or D&I are often seen as a set process, mostly about hiring a diverse workforce that represents the values of your organization and the populations that are your customer base. And to do this, we need to be aware of our biases to ensure things like fairness, like pay equity, and address accessibility. Now, the typical way of doing this is to first hire for diversity. Then we make equitable rules, which will in turn create inclusion. Now, sadly, this common approach is exactly why many DEI initiatives fall short. The truth is that DEI is not a set process or homogeneous effort. It's the sum of parts that are not always properly understood, making them often improperly executed. So let's look at each of them separately to better understand their purpose. Now, diversity is about the invitation. It comes down to who is hired, who is promoted, and is essentially about who is invited to participate and who represents. Now, equity is about access. Does everyone have fair access to the resources, equitable pay, equitable treatment? Ultimately, equity can be summed up by, does everyone have access to what they need to put them on equal ground? Now, inclusion is about the opportunity. Is everyone provided the same opportunity to belong, to be successful, to feel safe, respected, and valued? These opportunities are reinforced every day by each decision that we make. And they need to become part of the culture of the workplace. Now, inclusion is a much bigger endeavor than both diversity and equity. So here are some helpful ways to think about their difference. According to American activist and author Verna Myers, diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. Now, according to Arthur Chan, a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist with Planned Parenthood, diversity is a fact, equity is a choice, inclusion is an action, and belonging is an outcome. And according to Daisy Wright, the Chief Encouragement Officer at the Right Career Solution, diversity is about differences. Equity is about providing equal access, and inclusion is about fostering a sense of value and empowerment in employees. Okay, so we're not going to wait till the end to answer the question, DEI, where to start. The short answer is that it depends on your goals, and your goals are dictated by your priorities. So starting with diversity is important if you want to strengthen your business's reputation. Prioritizing working towards diversity is a very noble goal, but when it's your first step, it may be more about optics rather than impact. It's the most visible place to start and can make your business look good in photographs. But if that's your only priority, any success will be short-lived. Start with diversity if building your company's reputation is your primary goal. Now, starting with equity is important if you want to strengthen your legal compliance. Prioritizing working towards equity as your first step can be a good place to start. It can allow you to make sure that the environment and conditions of the workplace are fair and put everyone on the same level. Now, providing fair access to everybody. Now, it is important that to address job dissatisfaction and level the playing field, equity is. But most of the work done around equity happens in policies, on paper. When done well, most people may not even feel the effects. because it's something that they expect. It's a given, something they should have anyway. So start with equity if you're not already meeting legal compliance and if you're dealing with massive job dissatisfaction. Now, starting with inclusion is important if you want to strengthen organizational culture. Prioritizing working towards inclusion is actually your best place to start. Equity is required to achieve full inclusion, of course, but committing to making all employees feel like they belong and are accepted really should be your priority. This is something that employees will see and feel every day in their interactions, in meetings, and how they do their jobs. Even though we are encouraging you to start with inclusion, never forget about diversity and equity. They are critical and require the dedication of time and resources. But prioritizing working towards inclusion is the sustainable place to focus your efforts, especially at the beginning.